Hi folks, Sam here. What I want to talk to you about today is changing your identity, which is how you view yourself in order to support your weight loss goals. So this is a huge thing that I see the vast majority of people doing wrong, which is they address their diet, their nutrition, and they start exercising, but the thing is they're not looking after the internal, their mindset, their motivation, their habit building, okay? And of course, this is going to be a problem long term. We can all go on a little fad diet for a short period of time. We can all hit the gym really hard for a few weeks or months even. The thing is, until you change really who you are, it's not going to stick. Okay, I'll give you an example. I was speaking to a lady earlier. She isn't a client of mine at this moment in time, unfortunately. She'd be perfect, but she was basically saying that she's managed to lose the weight. She's had some good results, etc., but she still really craves sugar. This is common, right? And she said how she goes about it is she removes the sugar from her house, so the temptation isn't there. So then she's not running off her emotions and making the wrong choices, which on the surface is great. It's a good little tactic, right? The problem is when her husband comes home, and I can't remember what he brings, but it might have been cake or ice cream or something. The problem is that, she just gives into temptation. She's like, oh, I'll just have that cake. I'll have that ice cream. I'll have that chocolate bar. And of course, this is very common. Now, there's two ways to deal with this. You could do the short term, which is get rid of it, ask your husband not to bring it in, You could do that, or you could do something different, which is completely change your mentality towards food, how you view food and how you react to food, which is ultimately the best way and the only way that you're going to really effortlessly stay in shape long term. Otherwise, it's going to be a constant battle of saying no, not allowing the food in the house, not being stringent with your kids having those kind of foods around you. It's not going to work long term. You have to get to the place where you could look at food and say, do you know what? I don't want that today. Or, do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to have that today. I'm going to have that bowl of ice cream. I'm going to have that cake. I'm going to have that bottle or two of wine, whatever. But as soon as I've had it, I'm going to be back on track. That's what you need to get to. I'll give you another example. A smoker, someone who gives up smoking. They go around saying, oh, I haven't had a cigarette for 4 days. Then they're going around saying, I haven't had a cigarette for 7 days. I haven't had a cigarette for 2 weeks. That's great, but they're still identifying themselves as a smoker. They are a smoker who hasn't had a cigarette for X amount of time, rather than saying, I don't smoke anymore. There's a difference there. I hope I'm kind of making this clear to you, but there's a difference. It may seem nuanced and irrelevant to some people, but it is very important. How you view yourself, your identity, is extremely important. If you think of yourself as someone that's out of shape, you're going to act like someone that's out of shape. You're going to go around making the wrong decisions, giving in to food, being lazy, not exercising when you should, taking the easy route. All these things. You need to change the kind of esteem that you hold yourself in. The way that you view yourself has to change. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. I mean, if you've been out of shape for several years, or some people watching this, you'll have been out of shape your whole life. It's very hard. You view yourself in a deep-rooted way. You view yourself as being out of shape. So it's hard for you to break that. You're going to act like someone that's out of shape. Of course you are, because your whole identity, your whole being is based around that. You need, in my opinion, a pattern interrupt to just break yourself out of this. Yeah, it's easy for me saying, oh, you need to change how you view yourself. Yeah, how do you do it? In my opinion, you need a pattern interrupt. You need to take massive action, throw yourself out there and break your pattern. Have you ever been, full of examples, but anyway, have you ever been kind of really peed off with, say, your partner, or when you're a kid, you've been really peed off with your parents and you're in a real kind of grump, and then your dad will just mess your hair up or like tickle you or something like that, and then it makes you laugh and all of a sudden, you're not mad. It's because there's a strong pattern interrupt there. Same as if you've got extremely drunk on, say, vodka or tequila. If you got really drunk on tequila one time, and you've thrown up and you've had that bad experience linked to tequila, chances are you cannot stand the thought of having tequila. You can't even stand the smell of it. That's what I'm talking about. You've broken that chemistry in your brain, so you can kind of set anew. So look, honestly, this is super important. Don't just exercise, don't just work out. You need to address your mindset, your habits, your motivation, the way you view yourself, your identity. It's all super duper important. So that's all I've got to say on it, really. In fact, I've got a lot more to say on it, but I'll be here for hours. You'll get bored. You don't want that. If you do have any questions about this, then obviously shoot me a message and I'll help you. Take care. Speak to you soon.